What is the religion of a New World Order?
The religion of the Dark New World Order, I would say, is twofold. It is Satanism and Dark Luciferianism. That is the two religions that comprise what I would call the Dark New World Order, or the Dark Great Work, which is the work of slavery and totalitarianism. I would say that the people who propagate the negative worldview are the Satanists, and they are the kind of minions of the Dark New World Order. These are the people like you just heard interviewed there, higher level Satanists like Anton LaVey, Peter Gilmore, etc. You're talking about people with such a poisoned worldview regarding human nature that they've bought into these dark ideologies and are propagating them themselves. I used to be an adherent to that religion. And fortunately for me, my consciousness was able to break free of that and come up to a higher level of understanding. And that only happened through enormous suffering in my life. I had to suffer enough where I recognized that I was basically causing all of that suffering myself by the worldview that I was attached to. And it took a whole lot of personal suffering for me to finally come out of that worldview. Above the Satanists, however, are the Luciferians. These are the people who really, truly do understand how natural law operates. I would call them the true dark black magicians that are running the show. And these are people who know how natural law operates. And I would say that they're probably multi-generational dark occultists whose family propagates enormous wealth and influence and power in society. So they are more likely than not connected to bloodlines that go right back into the ancient world. And their mindset or their worldview is one that the entire creation, the whole universe, is a prison for their own consciousness and the consciousness of those like them who are kind of psychopathic like them and want to rule over everything. But they know that natural law is in effect, and they look at natural law as a prison condition. They don't look at natural law the way I look at natural law. See, we're free. We have free will to choose our own behaviors, but we don't have free will to choose behaviors without consequence. The behaviors that we choose carry consequences with them. The whole philosophy of natural law has often been termed consequentialism, and I have no problem with that term. I actually like that term, referring to natural law. Natural law essentially is very similar, almost identical to what has been termed consequentialism. If you look up the term consequentialism, you will essentially get an appreciation or an understanding of what natural law is. I would say natural law entails a bit more than that, because we could get into the principles that underlie natural law, and then you're getting into like deep positive occult teachings and schools of thought that were taught in mystery school traditions throughout the ancient world. But to go back to what the religion is, the top religion is Luciferianism, of the dark priest class that is really running the earth right now. And again, they look at the boundary conditions that I call natural law, these spiritual laws of consequence that govern the behavioral decisions that we make through our free will. They look at it as a prison condition. They see the whole world, the whole universe as a prison, because they want to be able, their goal is to be able to do whatever they want without consequence. So that's very important to understand about what the priest class that's running the world right now, what their goal ultimately is. Their goal is to turn the laws of creation on their head, okay? They want to find a way to break the laws of creation by doing whatever they want, no matter who it harms, and being insulated from the consequences of those behavioral choices. Now, this is total folly. It cannot be done, okay? But what they want to try to do is to insulate themselves from those behavioral consequences to the extent that is within their power in the physical domain. So they want to be rulers in the physical world, okay? So in other words, the hell that they consider the physical world as, because natural law is in effect, they want to rule in that hell rather than serve the creation by propagating the understanding of natural law, which is what serving the will of creation would be. That's the true great work, okay? Which is, again, that's what I'm attempting to do in propagating the understanding of how natural law operates and why we should align our behavior to it if we don't wish to continue to receive self-inflicted suffering. So the dark priest class are those who see these boundary conditions that I'm terming natural law as prison barriers, prison conditions, because they, in their ego-driven mind state, what they want to do, what they're seeking to do, is to overturn the laws of creation and be able to do whatever they want, no matter how vicious, evil, or harmful it is, without any consequence to themselves in the physical world. And they are very effective at doing this. I said before, it's folly. It can't really be done, and I still hold to that at the highest level, you're not going to get away with doing evil and harm. It is going to be balanced out one way or another by creation, because you're bound by creation. You're in the universe. Your consciousness is operating here. The balance is going to be paid at one place or another, whether in this world or the next. Okay, whatever form of consciousness happens after physical, cessation of physical life. Okay, that balance is going to be paid in full at some point or another, at some time or another, at some place or another. So it's folly in the ultimate sense to even try to do that. But see, they don't care about what's going to happen to their consciousness anywhere else, because they are working on life extension technologies to try to keep their consciousness here for as extended of an amount of time as possible. So this priest class is the transhumanist. They are the social Darwinistic mindset. They are the eugenicists, and they're again trying to be God on earth, and to keep their consciousness here for as long as it can be kept here through life extension technology, so that they do not go and take the consequences of natural law. See, it's the people who have, I would say that the priest class of the Dark New World Order, or the dark Luciferians, as I call them, are the people who cannot accept reality the most, more than anybody else. And yet they know what the reality is. See, they know what the reality is and how it works. They know about natural law. And they so hate it. They hate it so much. They've rejected it so much. Instead of accepting that this is how things are, and as long as we're in the universe, that we have to acknowledge that this is how it is if we are here. Okay? They say, no, I'm, by an act of my own will, going to overturn the laws of God. And they believe in their totally diseased mindset they can do this. And it's almost funny to me, because I recognize the total lunacy and impossibility of what they are doing. Now I recognize that. But they still believe it's possible, what they're doing. And in a way, you could look at what they're doing as partially successful, because they're isolating, they're insulating themselves from the consequences of natural law consequences, okay? They're insulating themselves from it by a very smart methodology. Instead of doing the behaviors themselves, they've at least understood that the karmic or natural law consequences are going to be dampened or lessened if they could get other people to do the behaviors that they themselves would have to do to control other people. So this is where the idea of moral culpability comes in to the picture when we talk about who's really running the show, okay? Who's really running the control system. It's a priest class of dark occultists who I call dark Luciferians, because they have the knowledge, and that's all the word Lucifer means. One who brings knowledge, who carries knowledge. That's a good translation for the term Lucifer. The term light, lux in Latin, is where the term Lucifer comes from. Okay, lux Lucius, and it means light. We measure light in lumens. This comes from lux in Latin. So the first part of Lucifer is light. And light means knowledge in occult schools of thought. If you have light, it means you have knowledge of how things work. You have an understanding of how they really operate. That's to have the light. And the second part of Lucifer, ferre, it's the Latin ferro ferre. It means to carry. So to ferry something means to carry from one place to another, like a ferry. If you put your car on a ferry and go over a channel, okay, it's carrying your car from one bank of that channel to another. So it's ferrying it. It's carrying it, like as in a boat or a ferry. Okay, so to ferre means to carry in Latin. So that's all it means, is to carry the light, or to, in other words, carry the knowledge. And to carry it, you have to have it in your possession. So Luciferians are those who have knowledge in their possession. Okay, a lot of knowledge, I would say. They're polymaths. They're people who have studied a whole lot about a whole lot. They have tremendous in-depth knowledge of how things work, particularly how the human psyche works and how the laws of nature work. They know those two things in depth. That's what occult knowledge entails, those two bodies of knowledge. The minor arcana of the occult is the knowledge of the microcosm, or the monad of consciousness, called the human being, which is the human psyche. Okay, the underlying psychological motivations and drives of the human being. That's the minor arcana, and the different qualities of the characteristics of the personality. Then you have the major arcana, which is about the laws of nature, the macrocosm, the universe, and especially about natural law is entailed. The knowledge is entailed in the major arcana. So those are the two bodies of knowledge that comprise the occult, and that's what these Luciferians have. These dark Luciferians don't want to use that for bringing other people up in consciousness and helping them to understand how these things work so that they can empower themselves and become better people and improve society. No, they want to hoard all that knowledge and use it against other people as a power differential to control them. So again, their worldview is, because we can't accept that natural law binds our behavior and that we essentially are going to have consequences to our behavior, we want to get other people to do the harmful actions that we tell them to do by manipulating their mind into believing they have to do it. Okay? And in doing that, we're going to insulate ourselves as much as possible in the real physical world from the brunt of the consequences of natural law. And this goes to the issue, as I said, of moral culpability, because you have to ask yourself the question, who is more morally culpable? The one who gives an order to commit harm to another person, or the one who receives an order to commit harm from another person and then goes out and carries that action out and actually commits the harm? I would say invariably, at all times and places, the brunt of the moral culpability is always going to be taken by the person who commits the action, who goes out and does that act of harm, not the person who orders that act of harm to be done. They're going to be morally culpable, but not nearly as morally culpable as the person who goes and commits the action. So when asking who's more morally culpable, the order giver or the order follower, the right answer, the correct and true answer is always the order follower bears the brunt of the responsibility for that behavior, because he's the one that led to its manifestation by doing the action. The action wouldn't have gotten done if the order giver just said, hey, go do that, and the order follower goes, no, I will not do that. That is going to cause harm. I don't have the right to do that, and I won't do it. By refusing to do that, that stops the manifestation of that evil thought and command. Go let the order giver go carry out that command if he can. And again, these are old men, in dark suits, smoking cigars and cigarettes, that with graying hair, that are pretty overweight because of the types of indulgent lifestyles that they lead, or underweight because they have a type of metabolism that, because their mind is so overactive all day, makes them look like waifs. So they're either overweight fat old men, or they're underweight old men that look like a bag of bones and couldn't fight their way out of a wet paper bag if they tried. And they're not going to be able to go and carry these actions out that they're commanding on a daily basis. They have to get dupes to go and carry their actions out. They have to go and get people who have no idea about what's really going on in the world and in life, because they've never actually picked up some books and read once in their life, who are extremely ignorant, who don't pay attention to anything that's really